Are you wanting to change some unjust or undesirable circumstance in your life? And you don't want to wait for the next election or write your elected representative and hope that they'll make the right decision for you. Well, you may find mutual aid interesting. Dean Spade, the author of Mutual Aid Building Solidarity During This Crisis and the Next, defines mutual aid this way. Quote, mutual aid projects are a form of political participation in which people take responsibility for caring for one another and changing political conditions. This is not just through symbolic acts or putting pressure on representatives, but by actually building new social relations that are more survivable. End quote. Mutual aid is people directly helping others in their community, whether there's an unmet need during an emergency or these people are among society's most marginalized and they struggle in daily life. Mutual aid takes as its starting point the assertion that the government isn't distributing resources evenly, is leaving many people struggling, and therefore community members are rising to fill the gap. Let's look at some examples of mutual aid to make this clearer. New York City, despite having a large city budget, had 22,000 households still displaced by Hurricane Sandy a year after it first hit in 2012. That is, without electricity, heat, or running water. A mutual aid network, basing its work on the specific needs that community members were struggling with, organized volunteer drives and donations, and distributed food, water, warm clothes, and blankets directly to the displaced residents. Similarly, mutual aid could mean free food fridges and giving warm clothes and blankets to unhoused people in your community. If you're in a low-income community that's being gentrified, then mutual aid could mean collective rent strikes or rent relief to help fellow tenants facing eviction. It might mean helping these neighbors access their housing rights and understand the documents, or joining them to housing court to help them resist eviction. Or it might mean forming groups that protest landlords' inaction on maintenance repairs, or landlords who refuse to return housing deposits by directly protesting at their business. Mutual aid might also mean supporting incarcerated people. This could be by making pen pals in prisons in order to build relationships so that they have advocates outside of the prison, and helping their loved ones to visit if the prison is far from their home or transportation is difficult. It might mean preparing for their release by coordinating a ride for when they get out of prison, bringing food and fresh clothes to them on this day, or a phone so that they can call their contacts. Or it may mean providing information about other social services for their release. Or it could mean forming a community bail fund to pay a person's bail so that they're not locked up as they prepare for their defense. And broadly, mutual aid in the incarceration context could be building movements against racist policing and for-profit imprisonment, movements that are led by those people most affected by these systems. Folks who are concerned about the increased funding of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, and Border Patrol agents, and the rising deportations that follow, are forming rapid response networks that warn each other of immigration raids and help hide immigrants. They're also helping immigrants do safety training so that their kids or loved ones are taken care of in the case of deportation. The group No More Deaths in Arizona is putting out water and other supplies in the desert for immigrants who are crossing, so as to prevent deaths from extreme heat. Mutual aid could also mean forming child care collectives so that parents can partake in political activities or simply have a night off. Parenting can be tiresome, I hear. It could mean being an advocate for vulnerable people like trans folk and accompanying them to medical appointments or public hearings. Or you may find individuals or groups who want to share resources, such as land for community gardens, but they need help building these structures. So perhaps you share your time with them through volunteering and they share their resources with you. There might be a community seed library that freely shares seeds or plant starts to help new gardeners get started. The possibilities are only limited by our imagination. So now that we've looked at some examples of mutual aid, let me recap some key points. The mutual aid perspective says that we can't rely on the government to properly address the needs of the most vulnerable people. It says that you're not alone in your struggle, but rather we are together. Moreover, the issue is with the broader systems within which we live. The problem is not in the individual targeted. Mutual aid says we're going to take matters into our own hands right now, rather than depending on systems with a clear history of causing harm. That way, we can help each other this very moment, instead of waiting for the uncertain possibility of help. Mutual aid forms cooperative projects and networks to share things. It builds collective power, and it allows us to meet new people in our neighborhood or community and learn about their skills, talents, and needs. It helps us form a mutual understanding of how current systems function and dysfunction. This not only makes our communities more resilient to current challenges, but prepares us for future challenges in a time of climate change and economic instability. Therefore, mutual aid is direct political participation as it engages with the issues that matter most to a neighborhood or community. Additionally, mutual aid is distinct from charity. Charity can be understood as wealthy individuals and institutions giving tiny amounts of their overall wealth to poor people. However, hovering in the background of this relationship is the assumed moral superiority of the giver over the receiver of aid. This is often to enrich their own image, and usually only provides for mothers or children. In this way, the wealthy determine who is a deserving or undeserving poor person. Dean Spade notes that while charity blames people for their poverty, mutual aid assigns the blame to our economic system for creating poverty. And it asserts that everyone is entitled to meeting their basic needs. Dean Spade continues that while charity is top-down and based on control and hierarchy, mutual aid is horizontal and based on solidarity, liberation, and participation. Successful mutual aid projects take lasting commitments and a lot of effort to collaborate and resolve conflicts amongst ourselves. They also mean that we must bravely confront the sad ways in which our current systems fail to meet our basic needs. Yet, it's also incredibly gratifying and transforms us from passive observers into motivated and proactive builders of the new systems we desire and need. In conclusion, mutual aid seeks to build new systems in the shell of the old by forming the horizontal systems of care that we desire within the oppressive systems we currently face. As increasing numbers of people build, practice, and scale up these horizontal systems, the idea that much like a teeter-totter, the status quo for how we meet our daily needs begins to change for the better.